Hello everyone. Hope all is well. My name is Devon Deluxe, by the way. What are the effects of the validation, whether it's internal and external, and what are some side effects, psychological and emotional side effects? Okay, I don't want to make this too complex, but a lot of the points that I'm going to give in this video, you're going to really resonate with. Maybe not with everybody, but if it does resonate with you, just drop a line in the comments and let me know, and get this discussion started. Okay, so external validations is when an individual relies on external validation, constantly seeking opinions of other people or achievements for what you've accomplished, constantly seeking approval from sources, whether it be from people in your environment, whether it be people at work, whether it be social media. So constantly seeking approval. You're never satisfied with your own decisions on yourself. Like, you gotta constantly be dependent on other people's opinions about you and your self-worth and your accomplishments. Okay, now I'm going to go into when we speak about excessive validation, we're basically going to talk about solely depending on people's opinion to for any little thing. Like, you just can't make decisions independently on your own. You constantly got to seek approval or acceptance from everybody else, and I think that strongly determines on your self-worth. Like, what do you think? How do you feel about yourself? Do you trust your own decisions? Right? Do you really believe you are worthy? Do you really believe that you're not worthy unless you get the approval of other people and the decisions that they have about you? Because when people start seeing that you can't make moves or you can't make decisions independently, they may take advantage of that. They may see that you can't make your next step without their approval or their opinions or their acceptance. All right, and they can take advantage of that and make you feel less than, because maybe they feel less than and they need someone to inflict that perception of how they feel about themselves onto you. Okay, so they can always have power over you, regardless of what you do. They're always going to have some type of power over you because they know you can't make moves without their approval. You need their acceptance. Like, you don't really trust your own intuition and what you feel you're good at. People tend to need to boost their self-esteem, maybe because they're feeling insecure about themselves. So people tend to do that constantly. So they're diving into how they feel about themselves. They don't have a lot of self-worth. All right, so their self-esteem is really low. Another thing is they need to foster some type of social connection. So basically, if they're in a group of people, it doesn't matter what type of group of people. It could be a sporting event, it could be work, it could be um, family. It could be any type of the social approval from any type of group. So you're not going to be able to make the decision. You got to constantly do things to entertain people because you need for them to approve you of whatever achievement, whatever behavior, anything that you do with yourself. Like, any decisions that you make, anything that you do, any achievements, you got to constantly get other people's approval through your social connections. And it could be social media, it could be Facebook, it could be Twitter, it could be YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever. You got to constantly seek people's approval. And if you don't get it, it's going to affect how you feel about yourself. It's going to bring down your self-worth and your self-esteem. Okay, so you want to be mindful of those type of behaviors. If you can't stand for social media, that's another sign that you should look for. There's two conflicting points of self-validation, and I'm going to say that one of them is when you have a dependency, like I just previously spoke about, is a dependency, which is not a healthy form of self-external validation. When you're constantly seeking dependency on other people's opinion of you, and that's not a healthy form of external validation. Okay, and there's another one, and that's more of internal. Is constantly affirming to yourself that you are worthy, you are enough, you are the best at whatever it is that you can do. And this has nothing to do with anyone else, what anyone else thinks of you. This is based on how you feel about yourself. Okay, so that is a difference between external validation and internal validations. Internal validation is based on how you feel about yourself, and you don't need other people's opinions. You know you're the king or the queen. You know you're number one at whatever it is. You know you're the best. Okay, and you have to start fostering that self validation. Start fostering those feelings. All right, regardless of whatever anybody else thinks of you, because what other people think about you is none of your concern. Boom. Now, going a little bit further down, there's signs that I want to go into where you need to identify constant external validation from others, and that is constant approval, like I spoke about before, inability to make independent decisions on your own without other people's opinion. You're constantly asking how I look, how does my hair look, should I go, should I not go, what should I say next, how should I respond. These type of questions that you constantly asking other people should be things that you need to just take time out and just focus on how you feel about said situation, how you feel about a circumstance. Think about how you feel, because other people's opinion, like I said, is not of your concern. Start focusing on how you feel about certain events, places, and things, or people. Okay? Start focusing on yourself. All right? Look into your gut. Start listening to your gut. Start listening to your intuition, and then you make your decisions based on how you feel inside, not what other people think. Because sometimes people may lead you down the wrong path and say, hey, I think that's a good idea, and know deep down inside they know that may not be a good idea. But you know what? Misery loves company, so why not see you fail? Right? So that's another thing that you want to be mindful of if you find yourself doing that a lot. So there's other signs where you have a lot of, when you have high sensitivity to criticism, right? So when people criticize you based on anything that you said, did, or what you wear, your appearance, your behavior, if people are constantly criticizing you on those things and you're very sensitive to it, and you feel like you want to avoid everybody, avoid being around certain people, you want to be mindful of that. You want to tune into your feelings and try to see, okay, what did I do to deserve that? Why is this person criticizing me that way? You know, start assessing reasons why they would do it. And don't place other people's opinion about you on a pedestal. Put yourself on a pedestal and think to yourself like, okay, well, maybe this person is thinking about that way about me because I know I am the one. Maybe they're intimidated by my presence, and so they have to put me down. So it's irrelevant how they think, feel, or what they say about me, because they're jealous. You can make it into things like that, because for the most part, you never know. You never know. But if somebody's constantly always criticizing you and everything that you do and say, you don't want to constantly seek validation from any of those type of people. All right, so just stay clear of that. Another thing is that we're going to go into is people pleasing. People pleasing, when you constantly got to get people's approval for everything that you do, like I said, is another form of external validations, when you got to constantly, please other people, maybe because you don't feel like you're enough, and you got to constantly get people's acceptance, get people's approval for anything that you're doing, like whether you want to go back to school, maybe find a new job, maybe any steps that you make, any major steps that you make in your life. Stop sharing a lot of your personal goals with external sources, because not everybody wants to see you succeed. Only you do. You know what I mean? And you're not going to get that feedback and a positive feedback from people that's constantly criticizing you about everything you do, everything you wear, everywhere you go. Every thought you make, no matter what, there's always going to be some type of negative feedback. All right, so just be a little bit mindful about that part. Okay, another thing that I have on the list here is your self-perception based on other people's opinion of you. So your self-perception is opinions about how you feel about yourself, right? How do you perceive yourself? Do you know you have strengths? Focus on your strengths, especially if you got stats. If you got stats that you're the top of your class in math, or you've received awards and trophies for your dance or whatever it is, any type of form of accomplishment that you received from any set of groups that you have in your life, then you know that You know you're the bomb. You know you rock that. You know you're the king, the queen of anything that you put your hands to. Because, like it says in the Bible, in Psalms 1, he or she is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever she does prospers. Whatever he does prospers. So everything that you do prospers. And you have to affirm that, and you have to believe that. And you have to constantly say that to yourself. Whatever I do prospers. Okay? And affirm that. Put that as one of your affirmations. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. And nobody else's opinion shall matter but God's opinion of you. He's the only one that can judge you. Do not validate anybody else's opinion about you or what they say and what they do. It's irrelevant. Okay? Focus on your strengths. And if you have weaknesses, you can easily take time to increase whatever it is that you have weaknesses in. So if you know you're not good at something, just take classes or courses, practice, because practice makes perfect. Anything that you're not good at, you can always learn. It all takes about consistency and determination. Okay, so you don't need external sources of validation to do everything that you need to do. That is your God's gift, whatever it is that He provided to you. And you're just going to share it to the world, whether they like it or not. And you have to embrace those imperfections, because those imperfections and those mistakes that you have, number one, nobody's perfect. So understand that. We are human. Nobody is perfect. So you're going to have to embrace those imperfections and own it. Because when you own it, no one can use it against you. And two, you want to understand that you're going to make mistakes. And the mistakes is not really... your mistakes is basically lessons, right? So if you learned how to do something, like you learned how to do something and you realize, like, wow, I used to know how to do it, but I forgot. It only takes a matter of time before you actually continue. It's all about consistency and determination. You got to want to do it every day to get better at it. So once you see that you've gotten better at something, all you need to do is focus on your accomplishment. Start taking notes of all your daily accomplishments, and in there you will see a whole list of things that you know you've accomplished, and whatever anyone thinks is irrelevant, because you got proof on paper that you've accomplished all these goals, and a whole list of stuff that you didn't think you can accomplish, and you did it by yourself without anybody else's validation. So let's not go there with needing validation from other people. And if you start identifying those characteristics, take time and look into yourself and see where it's coming from. What's triggering those things or those feelings that you feel like you need other people's approval? It could stem from childhood. It could stem from your mom or your pops, or anything that you've done in the past where you wasn't able to make decisions without your mother's permission, or your older siblings, right? So it tends to manifest into our adulthood as adults, and sometimes it has a lot to do with trauma. How can I say? Maybe there was things that we weren't supposed to do that we did, that our parents didn't approve of, or our family didn't approve of, or your coach or whatever didn't approve of, and because you didn't listen to them, bad things happen to you, right? So you feel like, well, damn, maybe I need to start listening to what people tell me to do, because every time I go ahead and do what I need to do without other people's validation, bad things happen to me, and it could be related to a lot of trauma. So it all takes time to overcome that. Do not blame yourself, but just bring out awareness. Start looking at different things that you can do to improve your need to have excessive validation from outside sources, because it's not healthy. It's not healthy. The effects that the excessive self-validation can lead to psychological issues. It can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety. It can lead to fear of abandonment. You start neglecting your personal needs, right? Because you don't feel good about yourself, so you start neglecting yourself, right? You don't feel like getting up in the morning. You don't know what the day ahead of you is going to bring. So start looking into those signs and try to, take little steps on plans of what you're going to do for the day. Every day you wake up and you have a list of things that you want to accomplish. And if you find yourself getting up in the morning and you're not able to just jump out of bed and start your day, start your day being grateful. Show gratitude. Thank God for waking you up that very morning. Before you even leave your bed, thank God. Say your prayers. Just have that relationship with God and just say, God, I just want to thank you for waking me up today. I want to thank you for allowing me to have a roof over my head. I want to thank you for protecting me all week this week from things that I've known and things that I have not known. Thank you for your protection. Thank you for my loving family and friends. Thank you for my job. Thank you for my car. I'm grateful for these things. And when you start showing gratitude for the things that you already have, you don't really have to worry about receiving approval or admiration from anybody, because you know your God he's your provider and he loves you because you are where you are. And I remember there's always a time in your life where, let's just say before you started working, there was times when you was praying for that job, right? You got that job, thank God for that, right? There was times when you was praying to move, right? And you actually moved, thank God for that. Thank God for waking you up with no health problems. Thank you, God, for allowing you to be able to make this day, that very morning, another day for you to restart. Okay, so you got to be grateful. You got to start your day with gratitude and just thank God. And I'm not trying to inflict spirituality on anybody, but even if you feel like you don't believe in God, just be grateful to yourself. Be thankful that you're able to accomplish the things that you've accomplished. Start taking deep breaths about things that you've accomplished for the week, right? And write down a list of accomplishments and say, I'm proud of myself for accomplishing all of these goals I did for the week. And I got another week to go, and I'm gonna accomplish more goals, right? But you have to start by writing a list of things that you are grateful for. Okay? Want to avoid a fear of abandonment. You want to avoid anxiety. You want to avoid the depression. So those are some of the things that I have wrote down. Start speaking highly about yourself. Know that when you wake up in the morning, I am God's child. I am the king or the queen of whatever it is I do. Everything I do prospers. Everything that I do prospers. Everything that I do prospers. And affirm that and believe that and feel that and say it over and over and over until you convince yourself that everything you do prospers. Convince yourself. Sometimes you got to be delusional about your capabilities. And even if you have evidence with the list of stuff that you accomplished for the week, you can just say that to yourself after looking at your list and say, everything I do prospers. Okay? That's the way to start. Build a social network of people that you surround yourself with. Surround yourself around a network of people that will constantly pour into you and give you positive feedback, and where they would allow you to be your authentic self, right? So surround yourself around those type of groups of people. And it doesn't have to be new friends. It could be social groups. It could be pickleball. It could be dance group. It could be any type of event that you form different groups in different areas of your life. So you don't necessarily need to be validated by any other of the groups where you feel they're not giving you the positive feedback that you need, that you know you need. Okay? So once you get that positive encouragement from outside sources of people that follow the same passions that you have, then everybody else's validation of you really doesn't matter, because you're amongst a group of people that are all accomplishing the same goal. Okay? Keep that in mind. You're going to be surrounded by a bunch of people in your group, your new social group, where all of you guys are accomplishing the same goal, and you're going to provide positive feedback to accomplish everything that you do, regardless of what it is. All right, so it's important to build a social network. It's very important. Okay, and it's also important to spend time for yourself as well. Take time to meditate. Take deep breaths, practice deep breaths. Every time you feel that you're starting to feel anxiety or you're losing some source of self-worth, or maybe someone criticized you, take time, close your eyes, take deep breaths, Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Release, 2, 3, 4. Constantly. When you take deep breaths, your heart slows down. You give a lot of oxygen to your brain, and it triggers your heart. And I'm not a doctor, I know, but I know this. When I do it, that's how I feel. Okay, but it works. It works. So try to take a lot of deep breaths. It's actually beneficial. So yes, take deep breaths because it can save your life. Okay, you just never know. Okay, to talk to a counselor or a therapist involving how you feel about certain things. Maybe there's some things in your life that you feel you can't get over, it's constantly triggering you. It's okay to speak to a therapist, and speaking to a counselor or therapist doesn't have to be a lifetime thing. But it's always good to speak to somebody outside of your social network. Having someone that's gonna look and think and listen to your situation from a professional standpoint. And they will provide you exercises and practices that you can do to help wean yourself out of those behavioral patterns and and thinking patterns that's going to cause you to start feeling low value and low self-worth, right? They give you the tools that you need to better your circumstances. Okay, it could be you can seek counseling for maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, depending on how well that you have depending on the relationship you have with your therapist. You can determine how long you want to continue seeking therapy. And maybe that could be stemming from family issues, and you might want to include family counseling, or you might want to include spousal counseling. Maybe it's not just you. Maybe the person or the people that you're living with is causing those triggers within you. But you gotta start with yourself. Okay? And that is another form of self-care. Another form of self-care is actually investing time into improving your worth. Investing time in improving how you feel. Invest time in improving your skills or whatever it is that you want to accomplish in life. Okay? But you have to start with yourself. You can't force and make anybody do therapy with you. You have to start with self. And then if need be, you can include other people if they choose to. But don't determine your self-worth based on who can go to therapy with you or who can seek counseling with you. You can do this alone. You were born alone, right? So it's just a little insights on things that you can do to enhance your self-worth, to improve your self-worth, so you don't have to seek excessive validation from anybody. Because then when you tend to exceed excessive validation from other people, places, and things based on your appearances, based on achievements or whatever, what's going to happen is you can become narcissistic, because now you don't have any self-identity. Your self-identity is reflected based on how people feel about you. And I wouldn't want to live my life relying on what other people thought about me, because people are very fickle. One minute they may love you, next minute they can hate you. You're going to base your whole life and your self-worth based on what other people think about you? You don't know what they're going through. You don't know why they're saying the things that they're saying about you. So why should it matter how they feel about you? They may have issues within themselves that need to fix. You know what I mean? So start writing down a list of things that you have a strength in and start focusing on that, because it's not important. Start doing those things and surround yourself with a different group of people. Start practicing mindfulness. Start doing some yoga, some stretches, because it definitely feels good. Even if you have to take walks around the park, which I love to do, that and stretching, it all helps. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I wasn't a people pleaser. I used to be, because I was the oldest, right? I was the oldest of my siblings and my cousins. So basically, I was being held accountable for their actions. And I was always seeking validation from my parents to know if I did a good job. Did I clean up the house well enough? Did I do my homework correctly? I always needed approval from external sources. So like I said, it comes from childhood. And a lot of times we grow up and we have to seek validation, and we don't know when to cut it off. And then when I started getting outside compliments from people telling me how beautiful I was growing up, I looked like a model growing up. From Essence magazine, people thought I used to model. I had flawless skin, glowing, flawless, dark chocolate skin, so beautiful that people thought I was a model from every magazine, and I took that and ran with it. It always built up my self-esteem, so I always made sure to take care of myself, because when I start taking care of myself, when I start looking good, I feel good. When I look good, I feel good. Regardless of whether I get validation from anybody else, I know within myself that I feel good. Not only was that, is that when I showed that I poured love into myself and I felt good, I just glowed. You could see the confidence when I walked, the way I walked, my posture, held my head up, and I didn't care what nobody had to say. You know what I mean? Because I know how I felt about myself. So I was never really insecure about my appearance, but I was always somewhat insecure about my capabilities. That's where I always had to keep getting good grades, good grades, good grades. So I was so book smart and so beautiful. And then people were like, you can't have both. You can't be beautiful and smart. We're going to just have to say you're beautiful, but we're going to dumb you down because you can't have it all. You know, sometimes you could be a nerd, but nerds, for the most part, you get people who are into books and has the book smarts and intelligence, and then they're also beautiful at the same time on the outside, where they do their makeup and their hair, and then it's like they can't put them both up on the same level. You got to have one or the other, but you just can't have both. So we're going to pick on flaws that you have to bring you down to our level, bring you down so we can feel good about ourselves. You know, so it's a lot going on. It's a lot of stories to tell, but people will pick on you. They will find any flaw, any weakness to bring you down. But like, your life and your self-worth is not determined based on how other people feel about you. Okay, and nobody's perfect. Don't expect yourself to be a perfectionist. Don't overthink about what people think of. It's not important. It really isn't. It really isn't. Because if you don't accomplish all your goals and you don't do everything that you need to do, all they're going to do is talk about how much of a loser you are. And then if you do accomplish all that you wanted to accomplish, all they're going to talk about, oh, she thinks she's all that, or who does she think she is? But evidence shows that I am all that, because I got this trophy, I got this award, I got this accomplishment, this certification, this degree. So I'm all that. What have you accomplished for yourself? Right? Look at how that person feel about themselves. Look at what that person or those people themselves have accomplished in life, and how dare they judge you based on what your accomplishments are. How dare them? The way people feel about you is a reflection of how they really feel about themselves. They don't value themselves. Okay, because you didn't ask them for their opinion, right? Because you already know. You already know. You told yourself you're that girl. You told yourself you're that woman or that man. You told yourself you were the best. You told yourself you are God's child and everything you touch prospers. You told yourself that. You didn't need it from them. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I just wanted to put that out there to you guys. Start practicing some self-compassion. Be easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be over-judgmental. Practice some self-compassion, okay? You're only human. You're not going to be perfect at everything. You're not going to be good at everything, but you always have the ability to make yourself better at anything that you want to do. Keep that in mind, okay? So, I love you guys. Take care. Take it easy. And see you next time. Bye-bye.